Hello, this is Brian Blair, and as part of BMP Consultants, we're discussing the Boston Beer Company today, sharing with you our analysis that we've conducted over the last 5 weeks. I'm joined by my partners Gary Miller and Jason Peralt in this analysis, and we hope to share what we've learned about the Boston Beer Company and its current position in the market. Here's what we're going to cover. The Boston Beer Company is the market leader in craft beer. Most people credit Boston Beer with the current craft beer revolution. In 1984, James Koch founded the company. He was tired of the watered-down light beers that were mass-produced by Anheuser-Busch, Coors, Miller, and the other companies, and using a family recipe, created a more full-bodied, flavorful beer. And that was originally trademarked as Samuel Adams Boston Lager. Since then, the company has continued to grow on the strength of their principles of quality and innovation and not cutting corners when it comes to taste. They're headquartered out of Boston, Massachusetts, and they primarily work in three main alcoholic beverage segments, namely the beers, and which they produce in various seasonal varieties. They also have expanded into hard ciders under their Angry Orchard brand, and also into the iced tea arena with their Twisted Teas. They've acquired an additional brewery called Alchemy and Science, where they generate a lot of their product innovation ideas. Some initial facts. From 2015, Boston Beer Company sold 4.2 million barrels. And as you see, when we compare that with the global market for beer, they're still a small player. They are the biggest player in the American craft brew market. Out of $959 million in revenue, they still had a net income of almost $98 million. At 1,300 employees, they're still not a very large company when you start comparing them to Anheuser-Busch or Molson Coors. But they are punching above their weight in the market. They own and operate 3 breweries. Understanding the overall global beer production of over 2 billion hectoliters puts a little bit into perspective where Samuel Adams fits. They compete in what's called the better beer segment of the market, or craft beer as it's more commonly known. Over the last, say, 5 to 10 years, but more the last 5 years, that market has grown very rapidly in America, powered by the taste of millennials, looking for something more authentic, more flavorful than the mass-produced beers that are currently on the market. And because of that explosion, your common light beer is now less than 50% of beer consumed in America. And also, it's important to understand that geographically around the world, but also within the United States, consumer tastes and preferences change for the type of alcohol or even the type of beer that they prefer. Also have to understand that premium or craft beer is generally price insensitive. Customers that are willing to pay for craft beer in the first place are willing to continue to pay more for it, much like customers are willing to pay for premium coffee at Starbucks. They'll continue to pay that price. They may just buy less of the product, but they're willing to pay the price for the product. Alcoholic beverages are tightly regulated in the United States, of course, and understanding the legal market of product placement, advertising, and the limits on that in the United States. Again, the better beer target demographic is the millennial generation between 20 to 35 that value the individualism that comes with specially crafted brews. And because of that demand, product innovation, and constant change is critical in the better beer market now. And so Samuel Adams continues to roll out different seasonal varieties, different seasonal flavors, and this creates a drive for competition with other craft brewers. That leads to the point of the increased domestic competition. all while Samuel Adams is also trying to get foothold into other foreign countries. The microbreweries and smaller craft breweries have expanded in an explosion of other entrants into the market over the past 5 to 10 years. And most analysts currently believe that the market is oversaturated with competition. It's relatively easy market entry for a microbrewery to enter into a local market, produce small quantities of beer, get into a local store, start a small fan base and start to grow from there. And hundreds of new competitors enter the market every year, and they usually start as local and grow into regional if they start getting a following, or they combine with others, or they get acquired by other breweries. Suppliers have a strong bargaining power in this market. There's a relationship that has to go into acquiring certain things and certain flavors. Samuel Adams, especially because they have so many unique flavors, tend to rely on specific suppliers for the variety of hops or other ingredients that they need to meet their exacting quality standards. And so there's a high cost to them to change suppliers, and the suppliers know that and can demand a premium price for when they know that they have the single key ingredient. Bargaining power of buyers. Stores have a large power to control what they're going to stock, and with multiple entrants into the craft market, they have more and more to choose from for space. And often these large buyers, these large chain stores, or convenience stores, don't necessarily appreciate the quality or intricacies of each craft brew. They just go by local sales, and that drives numbers. And so it can be hard to compete for shelf space in the current market as a craft brew. Again, substitute products are also a continuing threat. As millennials change follow the latest fad, some can go to wine, to other liquors, and you see some of that in Samuel Adams or Boston beers move into cider and hard teas. Also, the millennial generation is also concerned about health and fitness, and so soft drinks or vitamin waters or mineral water, and the water segment in general, have grown greatly as people move towards something healthier. And also you have to consider the intensity of the rivalry among all the competitors. And so the big boys in the market in America are Anheuser-Busch, Miller, Coors, and then you've got the Craft Brew Alliance, which is, as its name implies, an alliance of multiple smaller breweries that join together for the advantages of bargaining and pricing that come from being a part of the bigger alliance. And then in between them, Samuel Adams faces hundreds of small microbreweries on the lower end of the scale. So Samuel Adams really finds themselves in the middle of a conundrum. They're much bigger, more powerful than all these small microbreweries, and they have a better brand recognition. But they're getting too big to be considered part of the small regional craft market. But on the other hand, they're clearly not in any position to compete based on volume and scale with Anheuser-Busch or Miller Coors. Looking at the financial aspects, we can see how some of these major competitors stack up against Boston Beer over the last 3 years. You can see earnings per share for Boston Beer and their debt-to-equity ratio are actually much healthier than their competitors, both Coors, Busch, and the Craft Brew Alliance. But we see that their price-to-earning ratio has been dropping off compared to the others. So they've gone in 2013 to 2015 from 46 to 27 in their price to earnings. So that may give investors pause to try and understand what's going on. Right now, are looking at different investor comments, some say that Boston Beer has become undervalued at that rate. They're almost at the price earning ratio of a larger, more stable growth company like Anheuser-Busch. Whereas others are saying that based on the over volume of entrants in the market, Boston Beer is priced about right or may even go lower because they have such stiffer competition and are not poised for greater growth in the near future. You also see, for example, the craft brew lines, whose price to earnings ratio was pretty astronomical in 2013 at the fever pitch height of the craft brew movement, and it's started to drop off in the last 2 years. As some of that fervor has panned out, as a lot of the capital investors are looking to start cashing out of their acquisitions into craft brews. And so you still see the market expanding, but it's starting to take a different turn, and investors are starting to split their opinion on which way it's going to go. Some key success factors in this market to understand is new product innovation, which is a strength for Boston Beer Company. Even though they've grown bigger, they've also maintained their ability to continue to change the varieties, change the flavors to meet market demands. Effective marketing and sales. This is a disadvantage for Boston Beer. Although they do have a solid name brand nationally, this is a scale disadvantage. They're nowhere near the ability to compete for advertising the same way that Coors and Busch can. And matching supplies and demand. Looking at investment, looking at inventory, being able to manage those things. Boston Beer holds its own and does a good job. But they, again, are competing against behemoths in this market space. And they're also, at the same time, competing against much smaller companies that can be much quicker and much more nimble in their decisions and in their changes.